Since 2017, Kevin Bolling has been the executive director of the Secular Student Alliance. Before that, he served as the executive director of the California Thoroughbred Horsemen Foundation, and most recently, Kevin served as the director of philanthropy at the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles. We have a lot to talk about. Kevin, come on in.
I'm happy to be joining you, Amber.
Oh, right. First, I got to talk. Tell me about the Horsemen's Foundation. What was that about?
So yeah, interesting. A nonprofit in the thoroughbred racing industry in the United States, and so it was actually a great organization. And there are the backstretch workers, so the people who train and take care of the horses. And the purpose of the organization was to provide basically medical, dental, and vision care, and other social services for the workers and their families throughout the state of California. So there's a northern and southern racing circuit that run concurrently, and so about 5,000 workers, and we provided that care for them.
That's great. Who knew that there was that type of organization available?
Yeah, a lot of money in the racing industry, so they need to be taking care of their people.
Well, very good. And how about the Los Angeles Gay Men's Chorus? Tell us about that gig.
Oh, sure. Organization near and dear to my heart. I love the men of the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles. So not only, I think very well-known, renowned chorus, is, in the choral movement, but as also you've seen them on TV. There are, lots of different shows. We're on the Oscars, those sorts of things. And in addition to all the concerts, they have several youth outreach programs. So where they were doing the It Gets Better tour, so going around and doing a week-long residency in states across the country, and all about raising awareness for LGBT causes and students, and anti-bullying and those sorts of things. They also are in a program where they go into high schools in the local Los Angeles area and do music and LGBT education. And then they're also involved in a program in the youth incarceration program, and going in and doing sort of choral work with youth in the system, and empowering and just coming together, and obviously chorals, community singing, and those sorts of things. So lots of youth enrichment programs as well with the chorus.
Wow, it's just not a bunch of pretty boys singing. That's great.
A lot of pretty boys singing and a lot of good work.
Very good work. All right, now tell me about this secular association.
Sure. So the Secular Student Alliance is, we work with non-religious students all across the country. So we have student chapters like clubs and clubs and groups at universities and colleges, and so that's the main heart of our work. But we also work with students in high schools and middle schools, and we're soon be announcing that having some clubs actually in elementary schools. So the percentage of young people in the United States who are non-religious continues to grow at a very fast rate. And we're almost at 50% of students today are non-religious. And so it's a little bit when we hear in politics or in our society about, we're a Christian nation and we're all Christians, and there's this assumption, I think, to garner their point. The reality is that the United States is becoming much, much, much less religious. The general population is about 40%, and young people today are almost 50%.
So what are your activities? What do you do?
So through our organization, we provide a lot of support for the students. So to sort of, we still find students who think they're the only non-religious person or atheist on campus. So it's about building community. And like in areas in Utah is where we have really strong active chapters, because there's a large religious presence in the society. So they need sort of that safe place to come together. But we also want to be proud about their identity, which as LGBT people, I think we understand as well. And then we really want them to, develop lifelong activism. So it's about leadership development, and then finding things that they're passionate about, and really sort of living those out in their lives. Where we say you've got we're on this world for a short time, so let's make it the best place that we can, and make a better place for others before we leave.
Okay, what is the difference, if there is one, between non-believers, agnostics, and atheists?
Sure. So it's So we have, I think the common term that we hear a lot is the nones, or nothing in particular. So that's where, when on questions about religion, they say, none. Where really, so it's a little bit of a gray area. It's on a spectrum, and so your agnostics are people who are like, I don't think there's a God, but I can't prove that, so I'm willing to leave that possibility open. And atheists are really like, I don't believe there's a God. If there's some evidence that comes along that says that there is, I'm happy to look at that. But for more and more young people, they're identifying as atheists, humanists, non-religious. And so for them, they're like, the bastions of religion and the sort of the structures that we have are very less important to them. And so, they look that the government should be providing for people, and we should all have, basic human rights, and the government should be taking care of us.
Are you in all 50 states?
We are. Before COVID, we were actually Vermont and Montana were the two states we didn't have chapters. And so we're in a rebuilding stage coming out of COVID, like many organizations that work with students and in college and universities. So we're definitely building up, but our goal next year is to do a good push to be in all 50 states again.
Vermont, I believe, has been noted as the least religious state in the union, so I think you'd have a nice fit here.
Right. So again, in some cases, students go, well, religion's not a big deal, so this isn't as important. Our students are very involved in issues of the separations of state and church, and so which I think is, in our society right now is a huge issue, as we have politicians and prevalent people in society. Again, we're a Christian nation, and really pushing sort of a theocracy in the United States, which is not how we were designed to be.
Do you get any pushback?
We do. Our students get pushback, and so often in high school, and high school mainly, we'll see it where a principal may not be really excited about the idea of a non-religious chapter starting, and so we work with a couple of other nonprofits who have the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which we always say has a floor of lawyers. They're fantastic. They will send a letter off to a campus administrator or a school principal, and I would say 99.9% of the time they realize that they have to allow this student to form the club, and that usually does a lot of the problems. I would say we have seen a sort of a rise in animus and harassment from actually conservative Christian students against our students, and is just as sort of LGBT students are realizing that, and even students of non-white race are seeing that as well. So we're sort of all in that, I think, collective pool, and a lot of that animus we're seeing generally in our society.
Do you get any pushback from parents? Do parents call you up and say, "What are you doing to my kid?"
So one of our programs that we do nationally is we do every summer, and we're currently going on right now, is our secular activist scholarships. And so we have it's all nationwide, and students can apply. We have it's really students who care about the separation of church and state, and intersectional activism is really sort of the crux of what we look at. So we have religious students who apply and who have received scholarships as well, but the primary focus is non-religious students. We every year we have one student who is like, I can't be public about this because my parents don't know that I'm non-religious. And so we obviously are working with the students. We don't want them to, we have had situations where students have been kicked out of their homes, where students have been cut off financially in college. So we have seen that. So we're very sensitive of that, and obviously work with those students in those situations. And an interesting thing is we often will have students say, it was easier for me to come out as a lesbian than it was as non-religious to my parents.
Wow, that's something. I believe we have some pictures. Can you tell us about these pictures?
Oh, happy to, sure. So again, our students are very active, and so this is our group at the University of Wisconsin-Madison who are actually participating in their Pride Parade. So we often find that our students are involved in local community events, which is what we want them to do, and we have a high percentage of our students who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, and so they're not only supporting the local community and LGBT people, but also, their fellow members in the organization.
Well, cool. How about another picture?
Sure. So this is just a fun picture from our conference a couple of years ago. So we're actually holding our conference this year in Missouri, and so it's going to be in the middle of June. And so it's a great time. We often say it's the largest gathering of secular students anywhere in the United States. So yeah, this is a fun little picture of our students. So there's one of our groups on campus. So they do part of their mission and ours as well as an organization is normalizing non-religion. So as the growing number of young people are becoming non-religious, often people don't think that. So we help normalize that. So they do some fun programs, Hug an Atheist, Ask an Atheist, where you come and ask any question you want. Some are very serious, some are very funny. So just getting our students out, them having a good time on campus and doing those sorts of things. Just another fun picture from our conference.
Your conference is going to be in Missouri. Now, that's not the most friendliest state to people of our persuasion. Why did you choose Missouri?
It's not. Well, we always do our conference at a school, and so yes. But oftentimes going to a state, one, you allow students, in the local area or sort of adjacent states who sort of really need sort of that leadership development, hearing great speakers, all the grassroots organizing workshops. So it allows them to, makes it easier for them to participate. So we oftentimes will look for areas where it's easy for students to get to. And yeah, Missouri is a state that needs a lot of help. And so while we're there, we have some of the local politics that get involved. So we have Senator Megan Hunt from Nebraska, who's coming down to talk to our students. We have an assemblyman from St. Louis, and then Justice Horn, who is the LGBT commissioner, I think for the state. We're going to go with that. If not, I just gave him a promotion. But he's also coming in. So we really try to pull in those local resources as well.
Very good. You've mentioned politics a few times. What's going on and how can we stop it?
Yeah, I think how can we stop it? Stopping it is us getting politically involved. I mean, there's a reality, is going in and getting involved with your school board, running for your school board. Some school boards in some cities are decided by 16 votes. So going out, getting involved, running for position, donating to candidates, and going out and voting. So we do a lot of work with, we know that 89% of our students' members are registered to vote. So we obviously are doing a lot of work on that. But I think politics right now is, in part, I think some of it is to do with the growing number of non-religious. So the Christian people who feel like they should be in the majority are nervous about that. And as the United States becomes more and more pluralistic and more diverse, the white males are really having some issues in going, even though they're not, I'm losing my power. And I really think what we're seeing is this last-ditch effort to really fight against that and to claim it as long as they can. So when we look at, this is a Christian nation, and let me exert my religious values on you and then codify that into law, taking away everyone else's autonomy, this is serious. And I think especially, obviously women with overturning of Roe versus Wade and all of the just sort of draconian and really abortion bans in some states now. We're talking 6 weeks. It's a ban on abortion, basically. So, and then just for LGBT people, this is just a horrible overtime, especially for our trans friends. And obviously that while different, also our drag friends who are also having a horrible time. And then really, I mean, it's going as far, racial minorities and any sort of marginalized community of color is really having some issues just with their erasure of their history and the denial of existence, and the same thing that we're seeing with LGBT folk as well. So it's getting worse. And I always hope that pendulum swings back. But I do think we're seeing that last ditch effort of just people are white male cisgender Christians are scared, and it's unfortunate at this moment.
Very, very, very much so. Well, it's June. It is Pride Month. And because of some of that backlash from the politicians, several prides have had to alter some of their plans. No festivals or no drag people, performers at their festivals. How sad is that?
I think it's really sad. One, I think when you look sort of at LGBT people being able to be open and being proud, and really where we were going, not that far ago in the United States, just as a general, as culturally, I think it was fantastic. And there was a poll that came out, I think it was last week, and it's something like 70% of people in the United States think that the government should be protecting LGBT people and companies should be promoting pride, and all of these sorts of things where we are pro diversity and pluralism in the United States. The majority of Americans are still on board. It's this small vocal community that really is making it difficult. And I think the interesting thing that we saw with Target recently, a great display, and realizing there's a commercial value to that, and them doing that. And our organization responded to them on Twitter going, hey, look, LGBT people, have people coming at them all the time, and they stand up strong and don't back down. For you to have a pride parade or pride display and selling merchandise and to back down so quickly, you are not an ally, and you're not embracing what everyday LGBT people have to go through. So, it's sort of like stand up for it and realize it's going to be difficult sometimes, because that's what, gay and lesbian and bisexual and trans people have to do all the time.
And Walmart said they won't back down, that they're going to keep all their Pride merchandise. And if you don't like it, go shop at Target, I guess.
And which is fantastic. And North Face also, they were like, nope, we're not going, we're not backing down. So I think with recently with the Dodgers, at first taking the honor and award away from the LA Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, and then Target, I think we've sort of seen where companies now are going, okay, this isn't worth it. And there's a reality here. There has to be acknowledgement that conservative Christian people and Christian nationalists, they don't want some concessions. They want it all. They want to eliminate, trans people. They want to, and some people are going, we need to kill trans people. We need to kill LGBT, gay people. So they don't want concessions. So just doing a little bit is not what they want. They want the complete annihilation of. And we're not going there. Like, LGBT people are not going there. People of color are not going there. Women are not going there. So I think there's a hopefully a strong message to corporations now. Okay, this isn't worth it, because making the concession isn't going to do it.
You've been with that organization for 7 years now, 6-7 years. How long do you think you'll be staying there, and what would you like to do in the future?
Sure. I really enjoy my job. I love working with young people, and I think a lot of the sort of life experiences of non-religious people are very much echo the LGBTQ community. So it's really an enriching place for me. I love the energy from young people. So no plans on leaving soon. If I did, I'd probably want to stay doing something with youth. Or sort of getting back into sort of LGBT civil rights. So, and that's a little bit of, sort of the blend of my two history, work history and then volunteer experience sort of falls into those areas.
Education did you have to get you into those great jobs that you had?
I was an undeclared major for like winter quarter of my junior year in college. So no idea what I wanted to do. But I was active in school, so I was on the campus activities board, and I was an RA, and I did orientation and all these sorts of things, and so I really loved doing that. And so then went to graduate school to get my master's in education to specifically work at college universities, and realized again as I really love working with that with young students and the leadership development that takes place and those sorts of things. And then in California, I was working for 2 different schools. And the student governments and the student unions are nonprofits within the educational system. So that nonprofit experience background, But I think the guiding thing for me is it's really important that I go home every day knowing that what I do for work helps other people and benefits our general society. And so that just, it's important, it's one of my striving forces and just makes me feel good about what I do every day.
Well, Kevin, you do good every day. So thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for talking to us tonight.
My pleasure. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you.